In the winter of 1883, Leiden, Netherlands was gripped by more than just icy chills on its cobblestone streets. Death was lurking. One snowy December evening, the Frankhuizen family sat down for dinner, unaware their trusted neighbor had laced their meal with arsenic. Thomas Frankhuizen, a diligent laborer, took a bite of the stew prepared by Maria Swanenburg. Within hours he was in agony, his stomach feeling like it was filled with molten metal. His wife and kids soon followed, collapsing as the poison tore through them. But this wasn't Maria's first deadly dish. For over 3 years, the woman known as Gwami, or Good Mary, had been quietly poisoning neighbors, friends, and even her own family. What made her crime so chilling wasn't just the body count, but the trust she'd earned in her community. As the Frankhuizens fought for their lives that night, they had no clue their beloved neighbor, who'd watched their kids and nursed their sick, was one of Holland's worst serial killers. The angel of mercy, so kind and caring, was actually an angel of death, poisoning over 100 people in just 3 years. Maria Katharina Swanenburg was born on September 9, 1839, in Leiden, a historic Dutch city. The ninth of 12 kids, she grew up in a turbulent time. Her parents, Clemens Swanenburg and Johanna Dingjan, were part of Leiden's struggling working class, barely scraping by in cramped quarters near the textile mills. The Swanenburg home was a snapshot of 19th century urban poverty. 12 people packed into a tiny cottage where disease spread fast and death was common. Several of Maria's siblings died young from cholera, rampant in the overcrowded slums where poor families like hers lived. Growing up in this environment shaped Maria, giving her a twisted relationship with death and suffering. She saw her parents struggle to feed their large family, watched disease ravage her siblings, and learned early that death could be both a tragedy and, in some dark way, a release from poverty's burdens. As a young woman, Maria was known as kind and helpful, always ready to care for the sick and elderly, a trait that would later become her deadliest tool. In 1868, 29, Maria married Johannes van der Linden, a local laborer. They had 7 kids, though 2 daughters died in infancy. Those deaths marked the start of a grim pattern. Infant mortality was common back then, but people close to Maria started noticing death followed her everywhere. Family, neighbors, even strangers she met often fell ill and died mysteriously. Yet her reputation in Leiden grew. Nicknamed Gwami, Good Mary, she was always there to babysit for working moms, nurse the sick, or comfort the grieving. To her neighbors, she was a blessing, embodying Christian kindness. What they didn't know was that Maria had a dark side hustle. She'd started taking out life insurance policies on those she cared for, naming herself the beneficiary. When they died, often under her care, she cashed in. The insurance payouts, plus small inheritances from grateful families, gave her a better income than any honest job could. Her shift from insurance fraud to outright murder was slow, but inevitable. Maria had easy access to arsenic, a common rat poison in the 19th century. She'd seen its effects on vermin and knew its symptoms well. Most crucially, her role as a trusted caregiver gave her perfect cover to strike. By 1880, she'd crossed into murder, starting with her own mother, Johanna Dingjan Swanenburg. It was practical and personal. Maria, her mother's main caregiver, could easily tamper with her food and stood to inherit her modest savings. She slipped small doses of arsenic into her mother's meals over days. The symptoms, stomach pain, vomiting, weakness, mimicked common illnesses. When Johanna died, the local doctor chalked it up to natural causes, likely gastroenteritis. Emboldened, Maria soon poisoned her father, Clemens, the same way, pocketing another small inheritance. This set her pattern: find a victim, build a caregiving bond, take out insurance, poison them, and collect. With her parents gone, Maria's confidence grew, and she expanded her deadly work across Leiden's working-class neighborhoods. She targeted the vulnerable, elderly, sick, or poor people with few relatives to notice their deaths. Her reputation as Gwami opened doors. She'd offer to care for sick or elderly relatives. And once in the home, she'd slowly poison them with arsenic, bought easily from pharmacies for rat control. Victims suffered horribly. Arsenic causes agonizing stomach pain, vomiting, and diarrhea, often mistaken for food poisoning. As it built up, it led to dehydration, kidney failure, and death over days or weeks. With victims fully aware of their pain, Maria seemed to relish their suffering, often staying by their side in their final hours, playing the devoted caregiver while secretly savoring her work. The payouts were huge. Maria targeted those with insurance or savings, befriending them for months before striking. She'd even help them take out new policies, naming herself beneficiary. Between 1880 and 1883, she poisoned at least 102 people. 27 died, and 45 survived with lasting health issues. Her victims were diverse but vulnerable: elderly loners, the chronically ill, or those unlucky enough to meet her at a weak moment. One tragic case was Anna van der Linden, a distant relative who asked Maria to nurse her sick husband. Within days, both Anna and her husband fell ill with stomach issues. Both died, and Maria cashed in their insurance. Another was Petrus Franken, an elderly loner. Maria befriended him, brought him meals, and convinced him to take out a policy naming her beneficiary. He died after one of her meals, unquestioned. Maria's own family wasn't safe. She never killed her kids but poisoned several, including a suspicious son-in-law who survived and a daughter-in-law left with chronic health issues. Her youngest victim was a 16-year-old girl she was hired to nurse for a minor illness. Maria saw a chance for insurance money, poisoned her over days, and watched her die in agony while comforting her parents. Disturbingly, Maria kept up her compassionate facade, attending funerals and helping grieving families, all while her neighbors saw her as a community pillar. Her downfall came in December 1883 with the Frank Heisen family. They all survived her poisoning attempt, and Thomas, suspicious after hearing rumors of other deaths, saved a sample of Maria's food. Tests revealed lethal arsenic levels. Maria denied it, claiming someone else tainted the food, but police dug deeper, uncovering her pattern of deaths and insurance policies. They exhumed bodies, finding arsenic in multiple victims. The community was stunned. How could their beloved Gwami be a killer? Investigators found she'd kept detailed records of policies and even recruited accomplices to secure more. She'd experimented with arsenic doses, treating victims like lab rats to perfect her kills. Maria was arrested on December 23, 1883, at her home where police found insurance papers, arsenic, and notes on victims' conditions. Her trial in April 1884 was a sensation. The courtroom overflowed as prosecutors laid out her crimes, calling survivors and victims' families to testify. Maria insisted she was framed, but forensic evidence, arsenic in bodies matching her stash, sealed her fate. Her financial records showed thousands in payouts, far beyond what she could have earned honestly. Experts noted her lack of empathy, explaining how she manipulated trust. On April 23, 1884, after a brief deliberation, she was found guilty of murder, sentenced to death. Her punishment was commuted to life in prison due to changing views on capital punishment. Maria spent 31 years in Gorincham's women's prison, a notorious figure who charmed guards and inmates alike. She maintained her innocence, even receiving letters from some Leiden neighbors who still believed her. She worked in prison programs, even caring for sick inmates under close watch. She died on April 11, 1915 at 75, from natural causes, buried simply in the prison cemetery. Her crimes, 102 poisonings, 27 deaths, 45 with lasting harm, shocked the nation. They exposed flaws in the insurance system, leading to stricter rules, and highlighted the vulnerability of the poor and elderly, spurring social service discussions. Maria's case still captivates criminologists. Her ability to hide evil behind kindness challenged ideas about serial killers. Her story warns of the dangers lurking in trust and the need to protect society's most vulnerable. The woman called Good Mary was a predator, using compassion as a weapon in one of history's deadliest serial killing sprees.